Hello, everyone. This is Cody Lee of BlackGapBooks.org, author of I, the Dragon, Cruel and Beautiful, Rabbit Hole, and King Dio. Lately, I've been thinking a lot about No More Heroes 3, particularly about how I already want to play through it again. This is a game I really, really enjoyed, I really, really liked, and I'm at the point now where I am very, very much interested in seeing just what exactly about the release I overlooked the first time around. And I think there have been a number of things already that have really come to mind in regards to like No More Heroes 3. Things that I didn't really like appreciate the first time through, or things that like maybe I need to think about a little bit more. And that is of course like a big part of that is like how exactly certain side characters are treated. And the character, one of the characters that I was kind of iffy on like initially was Kimmy Love, right? Kimmy Howell returns as a pop idol in No More Heroes 3. And I think I said on stream that I didn't like the choice. I thought it didn't really suit her character very well. I thought it was like kind of disappointing. I didn't like the rap battle at the end. The fight itself was a lot of fun. And I thought like actually killing her was I don't know, like it felt like you could have done a lot more with the character, right? And I kind of talked about this in my No More Heroes 3 review, where like I felt like there were things I would have done differently with No More Heroes 3, but at the same time, like what Suda did still worked very, very, very well. So like now that I'm done with No More Heroes 3 and now like I've settled on it, like I have come to terms with the fact that like yeah, Kimmy Howell did not have a good life. But at the same time, that isn't necessarily a bad thing in the context of the story. You know, like it was a story decision that works in spite of how out of left field it is and how ridiculous it seems on the surface. And I do think this is a common reoccurring theme I've noticed with No More Heroes 3 is that like a lot of things that like I kind of wrote off initially um, do actually resonate with me more the more and more I think about it. And like going back and like thinking about like how I felt about No More Heroes 1 and like even Travis Strikes Again to an extent. Like I think I felt the same way back then as well. Like I think Harvey Volodyarsky, Mozowicz Volodyarsky was what was is it Harvey? Like Volodyarsky, the fourth ranked boss in the original No More Heroes, was one of my favorite bosses the first time through because of like how interesting that build up was. But now like on repeat playthroughs, I think like it doesn't really add very much to the story. I think that's what I said in my video talking about that. I think Kimmy is kind of the opposite, in which like I kind of was underwhelmed with her initial reveal, like the initial like concept of like, oh, Kimmy is like an idol now. Like it felt like kind of pandering. It felt like kind of like, oh man, idols are popular, right? So we'll just turn Kimmy into one. Like it felt kind of trashy. It felt kind of shitty. It felt like Kimmy deserved better. You know what I mean? But like in the context of No More Heroes, in the context of No More Heroes, the series, like what has Kimmy been doing in the past like interval between No More Heroes No More Heroes 2, excuse me, and 3? Like if her dialogue is any indication, if that like that really shitty rap, which is I still stand by is just cringeworthy awful, by the way. If that awful rapping is any indication, if like what happens is any sign at all, like Kimmy graduated college and committed herself to becoming a better assassin so she could kill Travis. Like she never really let go of that goal of like overcoming her hero. And this, like when I come to this realization, like about when I came to this realization about her character, like it all suddenly like really clicked to me. Like it all suddenly really started to make sense because Kimmy No More Heroes 3 kind of has an interesting relationship between Travis and the antagonist, like the protagonist and the antagonist Fu, right? Travis and Fu are very, very similar in the sense where they kind of behave similarly at certain points in their life, but Travis went down a different path than Fu did. Like Travis became like more involved with his community. He began building a network and friends around him that like who are deeply involved and invested in what he's doing and who he is, and like he supports them in turn. Whereas Fu like has these deep relationships with other people and just like shits on them constantly for no real reason, right? Like he doesn't really value friendship, even though like he says he openly says he does. Like he says he's Damon's friend. He says he's friends with like the with his cronies, his underlings, the people under him who are like terrified of him and only go along with his shit because he's so much more powerful than them. Like Fu doesn't know how to have friends, right? Like even though he says he really wants them. Like the thing about Kimmy, the thing that I realize about Kimmy is that she is in essence a reflection of another character, the same way like Fu is a reflection of Travis. Like Kimmy is what would have happened if Shinobu had actually committed to killing Travis no matter what. Because what you understand, like Shinobu and Kimmy were in the same position when they first fought Travis. They had a preconceived notion of who Travis was before they met him, and they fought. They lost. They both lost to Travis, and what happened after that was completely different, right? Like Shinobu, moved on with her life. She became like an Asian fighting champion or something. Came back in No More Heroes 2. Developed feelings for Travis. Was rejected, and then still went on to become his closest confidant and most trusted ally, in a sense. Like in a lot of ways, she's probably the closest person to Travis in the current timeline, like certainly closer to him than fucking Sylvia, which is another topic entirely. But for all intents and purposes, like Shinobu overcame that desire to kill Travis. Like she moved on with her life and grew as a person because of that. Like Travis Strikes Again explains this, how she like operates like an orphanage or something like that. How she's really become like really grown up in her own way and sort of like really moved on with her life. Like Shinobu, if anything, has become a way more likable character as the games have gone on. Like people love her. Like Suda himself has like stated this in recent interviews, saying that like Shinobu has become like a lot more popular, like so popular in fact that like a lot of people really like the idea of her being with Travis, which is something that like a lot of people have been, which is true. Like a lot of people do admire her loyalty, her commitment, like her growth over the years. And I don't ship her with Travis or anything, but I definitely see where she's coming from. She's loyal. She's a great character. I like her a lot. Like especially like in the later games, she really grew on me over the years. She was never my favorite boss, but like the fact that they really developed her so well says a lot about like how well they handled her. Kimmy is the exact opposite. Kimmy started off strong, like in college, like looking up to Travis, like really respecting him, and deciding that she wanted to to kill him, right? Like so she became like an assassin, trained really hard, won a championship, and then like fought against Travis and lost. And because she was still in college, Travis just told her like, yeah, I'm not killing you at this point. Come back later. So that's actually what she did. Like if you remember back in Shinobu, the Shinobu fight, like Travis said the exact same thing about Shinobu. Come back when you're stronger. But Shinobu doesn't actually kill Travis. Whereas Kimmy, like, commits to the idea, spends her entire life building up to this moment, like, becoming, like, whoring herself out, becoming a thought, like, changing her makeup, completely changing her entire persona, in order to sort of, like, please the people around her, right? Like, the audio. What was I talking? I had a really poignant point in mind about this. I kind of forgot what I was what I was gonna say, but. Yeah, Kimmy like completely changed who she was, like really committed to becoming like a stronger assassin, and ends up dying for it. And really, when you get right down to it, for no real reason, like when you get right down to it, right down to it, like Sylvia has this really interesting conversation with Travis after the fight, right? Where she says something along the lines of like, "Oh, what do you think was going to happen? Kimmy was going to team up with you and fight the aliens? Isn't that ridiculous?" Well, no, because Shinobu is doing that already. Like Bad Girl is doing that. Like Midori Morikawa goes on to do that. Like Kamui does that. Notorious does that. Like there are people we've been introduced to, characters that we love, who are indeed doing that. But Kimmy, for no real reason, rejected the idea because she couldn't grow up, and her entire stage kind of reflects that. Like the little dolls, like just the sort of childlike sort of stage design she has, like just pouring yourself out more than I think like any character in No More Heroes history, I would say. Like some Holly Summers isn't exactly modest. Like Bad Girl isn't exactly modest, right? Like this series has a lot of fan service, right? But like Kimmy Love somehow goes like beyond that, which is bizarre considering where she came from, considering how like conservatively dressed and like her original persona, right? Like she deliberately tried, like it's like they wanted to emphasize just how much she has not changed in the how much she changed so much, and yet in the end like she didn't change at all, right? Like in the end, like Travis killed her, like he killed so many other people in No More Heroes 1 and 2, and she never comes back. She never comes back. Like she's dead for good. It's it's an interesting, like I'm not sure how much of this can be considered intentional, but like I do see a lot of parallels here, and as a writer myself, I've stated this before. You do a lot of like the symbolism you come up with that comes up in your stories is indeed unintentional. Like it's stuff that just kind of happens organically, naturally, if you're good at what you're doing, and I think that's kind of what happened here. Um, because like the more I think about Kimmy Love, the more I do end up enjoying her character. And I think that's kind of what makes No More Heroes 3 so great, is that it does have aspects like this. It does have like aspects to the story and lore that do meld with the other games very, very, very well. And yeah, this isn't the send off we wanted for Kimmy. This isn't like what we thought was going to happen, but at the same time, like this kind of thing happens to people all around you all the time, right? Like they make bad life decisions. You don't necessarily see them or know about them, but like you can see the effects of them. You can see the end results. Like Shinobu, like we don't see everything how she became who she is today. We didn't see it all, but we have a general idea. And with Kimmy Love, we have a general idea too of just like how she came down this path, and how and what it resulted in. Like Kimmy Love threw her life away for no reason. If you take anything away from Kimmy Love in No More Heroes 3, let it be known that you should not throw your life away. Like you need to have a purpose in life that isn't fucking stupid. Like Kimmy Love could have very well been a protagonist, a major character, if No More Heroes 3, if she had grown up a little and taken on more responsibility. But as it happens, she threw it all away for the chance to kill Travis the Great.